Hello traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Apple ahead of its earnings. So this is the premier company, arguably. And when everybody was talking it down, I think somebody came out and said 165 price target. We stayed long just based on a couple of patterns that were playing out. And I was betting that this white would fill, and it did. So, but there was something weird that happened around 238, and that comes into play, and I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, so what now? I'm no longer long it. I booked the profits. That was a big move. I can't justify staying long. I took a small debit put spread, calendar put spread, and it's already up 25% ahead of the earnings. So I may just book that or leave it. It wasn't a lot of money. It was just for fun. I think the better trades are after the earnings, where the binary effect at the open is just gone. Then I can trade with information in hand. Okay, so from here, there are some things to talk about as far as levels. Clearly, this level right here is pivotal. What is that? 213, 214. I know that's a lot lower than here, but you don't know what happens as far as reactions on earnings. So you just want to know all the levels. There are definitely levels higher than this that mean something. 220 also sticks out. Same with this zone here, 225. I have a date with 238. So on 1014, 1015, I can't remember exactly when, out of the blue, the stock flashes 238.30 or something like that. So I said, I'm going to buy calls because the stock was well below that at the time. I've seen this market maker make some mistake or something happens, somebody flashes a price, and then before we know it, we see it just migrate towards that. Sure enough, because of that, rode this up in Apple. So I didn't get every dollar out of it. I think I got out in the low 240s, which was a fantastic win anyway. And I did share it with friends in the chat room. By the way, at the end, there will be a subscribe to this channel thing on the left-hand side that pops up. It's free. Just hit it if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel. All right, so back to Apple. So 238.3, 0.4, I can't remember exactly when. Maybe I'll have time to show you in a little bit. I would definitely keep an eye on it. So this is a daily chart, and I'm going to go down to an hourly chart to see if we can get some more information. Okay, so from the hourly chart, I see that this was a baseline. So if I wanted to get a volume profile read better, I'll zoom into it to eliminate all the extra stuff. So kind of a messy volume profile. This is what I'm talking about here. It just shows that there might be some backing and filling to be done. So let's mark it up and speak to it from a levels perspective. Above current levels, it's just open air. So there's not a lot of smartness to be said up there, except that if they take out this one, or it's open air, we don't know. So if I wanted to pick out two other levels, these would be done. But it's going to be an event with a headline. It's going to pop up or down, and it's a binary. Okay, as far as below, 238 and change is this level, so it's not a coincidence. I want to say somewhere around here it popped up, and it doesn't show up on this chart because I don't have overnight stuff here. And I will keep this in mind. So if they want to fall, this might be a stopover point. There's an open gap here, which happens to be a ledge. So this will be also an important line to look at, this one. And this is the most important line, not according to me, but according to all this volume. So all these volume ticks down here, they're represented in these volume bars up here. So instead of just seeing them day by day here, this one puts them where they belong on the price chart. So it's useful information. This tells me that this was the value area, basically, and they broke out of it, and now they have the opportunity to come down to it, which is just around here, which is the 238. To use it as support. So that's the idea. But they could slice through it, and this would be support number 2, 3. And this is the point of control. So this is where most of the action happened, around this price right here. 225-ish, 26-ish. Not calling it's going down there, but these are the levels I'm paying attention to. So if somebody wants to do a lottery ticket, know where to place your bets. and also find out what the markets are looking to move it, and don't if it's a complete lottery ticket, then you go out and you spend the money and you don't break your heart if you miss it, just like a real lotto. Like GE, I paid 8 cents for calls yesterday for next week at $10, and I got out of them close to 40 cents today. It was a lottery ticket. I didn't get rich off of it, but it'll pay the expenses for, say, groceries for a month or something. So it was. But if I had lost my 8 cents, I wasn't going to be crying over it. That's what I mean by lottery ticket, because I have no conviction in telling you if it's going to go up or down based on the earnings report. I don't know what they're going to report. More importantly, I have no idea how markets are going to take it. What are the expectations? Is Tim Cook going to sound like Benioff? It's actually starting to sound like Elon Musk at times, where he's pumping his own stock. I have very little faith in his abilities. I know I'm a longtime critic of him. I think the company would have done just as well with no CEO. In fact, probably better. The CEO buried it in debt. Yeah, debt cheap. Debt is cheap, but now they have over $100 billion in debt. They had zero when he took it over. Absolutely nothing. I'm okay with debt, especially when it's cheap, especially when you buy companies or businesses or you develop businesses. But he borrowed to pay dividends and buy back stock. I don't know. You don't see Bezos doing that. That's why he doubled his earnings in 2 or 4 years. So get debt, fine, but use it to buy something other than just beats, and invest $1 billion in some sort of a Chinese Uber. I forgot what, Didi or something like that. Anyway, so here are the levels for Apple. The fundamentals, they're strong. I mean, Apple is Apple. It's not cheap. It's probably over 20 PE right now, which is expensive for Apple. 21. Usually it's about 18, 19, but it's still cheap in absolute terms. But from what I've seen it before, it sells at about 4 times price to sales. Believe it or not, that's more expensive than Amazon. Price to sales of Amazon is like 3.5 maybe. So, but it's a lot cheaper than Facebook, which is about 9, and Google. So valuation is not an issue for Apple. You could argue that it's on the higher end of its normal, but nobody's going to go broke buying Apple stock for the long term. Clearly, it's a winning stock. So this is Apple in 5 years. If you bought it, you made money. But this is not an obvious place to start longs up here. Even though it may be headed to 260, I don't know. They may overshoot my target. But it's a binary event. So I'm not laying big money on an upside move in Apple. I do have some longs in the SPY. I could swap some longs into the Qs to play the Apple indirectly, especially that Facebook also reports. I do like the Facebook perspective better than Apple. I think they're killing it on advertising, so we'll see. All right, Nick signing out.